Words carry energy and intention. They hold the power to lift someone, hurt someone, inspire someone, or even chain someone to a feeling. Unknown. Let that rest on your heart for a moment, my friends, because in this world we're all living in now, where emojis pretend to show emotions and double taps feel like some kind of modern love confession, most people have forgotten the true weight that real words hold. We've become so used to fast replies and even faster emotions that we've started treating connection like a small side activity, something we fit in when we have time. But love, real love, genuine connection, that's not a hobby. That's deep inner work. That's soul-level effort. And even the smallest message, when it comes from a place of real intention, can shift something powerful inside a man's heart. Before we go forward, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and share this with someone who's tired of playing tiny when it comes to love. This isn't about playing games. This is about changing the entire game. This is about building something real, something with roots. Now, ladies, picture this for a second. Imagine your morning message has the same presence as the smell of warm coffee in a quiet room. It doesn't push, it doesn't pull, it doesn't demand anything, but it draws him in softly, gently, naturally. It becomes something he reaches for without thinking, not because it is loud or dramatic, but because it feels like peace. It feels like home. That is the kind of energy we're tapping into right now. Most people think morning texts are just polite little gestures. A friendly nod at the door. Hey, hope you slept okay. Have a good day. Sweet, sure, but also forgettable. It's like giving someone a paper flower. It looks cute, but it doesn't smell, doesn't live, doesn't breathe. But what if I told you that same tiny morning message, if spoken with real intention, can shift his whole energy for the day? Not because you're trying to impress him, but because you're speaking from a place most people are too scared to speak from. Your truth, your center, your core. Let me be completely honest with you. In a sea of good morning beautiful and hey gorgeous texts, it is so easy to blend in, so easy to feel like you're just another option. But the woman who learns to speak from honesty instead of technique, she becomes unforgettable. You don't have to write long paragraphs. You don't need to sound overly clever or perfectly charming. You just need to say something that makes him feel. In a world where most people text only to get attention or to get a quick reply, your message can become the one that actually touches something inside him. Math said, do what you have to do what you want to do. And if what you desire is a real bond, a love that feels like clarity instead of stress, then you must stop texting from fear and start texting from freedom. Because here is the truth nobody really tells you. The right morning message is like planting a seed. And depending on the type of words you plant, that seed can grow into desire, dedication, or complete distance. Too many women hand out their energy in small generic crumbs, hoping someone will notice them, hoping they will be chosen. But we're not doing that anymore. Today you're learning how to speak like a woman who already knows her value. A woman who does not chase attention. She invites genuine connection. A woman whose single message feels like a whole moment, a whole atmosphere, a whole experience. And no, this is not about manipulating anyone. This is about alignment, truth, and power. You're not texting to make him stay. You're texting from the part of you that already knows you are the prize. So if you're ready to stop sending messages that sound unsure and start communicating like a woman who is undeniable, keep going with me. Because these 7 morning messages, they're not just lines. They are small keys that open something deeper inside a man. And once you understand how to use them, you won't have to chase connection again. You'll carry it within you. Let's begin with the first one, the mystery message. Here's the example. You won't believe what I dreamed about you last night. And here's the truth. The most unforgettable voices are not the loud ones. They are the ones that stay in your mind long after the sound is gone. Most women today are shouting to be noticed. They send long paragraphs trying to prove they are worth a response. But the reality is, you don't need to say a lot to be remembered. You just need to say one thing that comes from calm confidence instead of anxious need. Imagine walking into a crowded room, lights everywhere, people talking loudly, laughing, dancing, bouncing around. But across the room sits one person, still, quiet, steady. They're not trying to pull attention, yet they pull yours. Their silence speaks louder than all the noise around them. That is the energy of a message like this. A whisper that creates curiosity instead of trying to force interest. Good morning. You won't believe what I dreamed about you last night. These words hit differently. They don't chase him. They don't beg for conversation. They simply invite him into one. And not just any conversation. They activate that part of the brain that hates incomplete stories. Humans crave endings. We chase answers. When you leave a little mystery in your message, it becomes a loop his mind keeps trying to close. Now you're not just in his inbox. You're in his imagination. Maybe you're thinking, what if this is too bold? What if he doesn't reply? Let me tell you something, Queen. This is not about begging for a reaction. This is about waking up curiosity. You're not creating drama. You're creating a feeling. You're opening a tiny door and letting him choose whether to step through it. You're not performing for him. You're letting him step into a moment you created. And when he replies with something like, okay, tell me the dream, don't spill everything right away. Smile, take a breath, and answer, let's just say I woke up smiling. Want to guess? Now you've given him enough to stay interested while keeping yourself grounded. You've shifted the energy. You've gone from a message he reads to a message he thinks about later. This is how you stop being just another chat. You become a presence, a thought, a feeling, a spark in his imagination. And once you enter a man's imagination, you are already halfway into his heart. That's only the first message. The next one doesn't just touch his curiosity, it touches something deeper. Number 2 is the message that supports his spirit. Example, I don't know what today brings, but I believe in you and I'm here. And listen closely, ladies. Even the strongest men need a soft place to land. Even the boldest ones need a moment of peace. Men, especially the steady and grounded ones, hold so much inside without showing it. You usually can't hear it in their voice. You won't see it on their face. But behind that calm, there is often a quiet storm they've learned to carry alone. That's why your words have to be more than cute. They need to be comforting. More than clever. They need to be steady. When a man wakes up and sees a message that tells him he doesn't have to act, doesn't have to impress, doesn't have to earn your softness, something inside him releases a breath he didn't know he was holding. Try saying, hey, I'm not sure what today has planned for you, but I believe in you and I'm with you. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but simple is powerful when it's honest. You're not fixing anything for him. You're not trying to drag feelings out of him. You're simply giving him room to breathe. You know, most people are obsessed with motivation, hustle, grind, all that noise. Be unstoppable. Be a monster. But the truth is, there are moments when a man doesn't need to be pushed forward. What he actually needs is permission to slow down. He needs to feel that if everything falls apart for a moment, someone is still beside him. Someone who recognizes the man himself, not just the tasks he completes or the strength he shows. And here's what most people never realize. When you send a message like this, you're not treating him like a child. You're not being overly soft. You're standing firmly in your own feminine power, because a woman who allows him to take off his armor around her unlocks something inside him no one else can reach. He may never say it in words. He might just reply with a simple thanks or a short note. But deep inside, that message becomes a quiet anchor for him. It becomes a place where he can rest for a moment, because what you sent is not just a sentence. It is a tiny pocket of peace in a world that constantly demands more and more from him. Matthew once said, "There's a difference between living and pretending, and real love only begins when you stop pretending that you are fine all the time. So be the woman who lets him show his real self without shame." Because when a man feels genuinely safe in your presence, he doesn't just stay, he starts building with you. And next, we move into something softer and even more beautiful. Not just safety, but imagination, shared imagination, the kind that slips into his mind without effort and makes you part of the pictures he daydreams about. Follow me for a moment. Number 3, the daydream trigger. Here's an example. Woke up imagining us somewhere quiet, peaceful, just calm in you. You ever picture things like that? Now let me paint the feeling behind this. Imagination is where desire takes its first breath. It's not loud the way lust is. It's not heavy the way obsession feels. It's gentle. It's slow. It shows up quietly when the world around you softens. It's like a small melody playing in the background that you didn't realize was there until you catch yourself humming along. You can't grab it, but it still holds you. And the woman who knows how to live in that emotional space, she never has to fight for room in his life. She naturally becomes part of his inner world. That's what most people don't understand. Deep connection isn't always created by long emotional talks or dramatic moments. Sometimes it's born from a 5-second image that feels like a memory from the future. That's what this message does. Try it. Woke up imagining us somewhere quiet, just peace and you. Do you ever imagine things like that? You're not planning a vacation, you're not forcing commitment, you're simply opening a window in his mind, a quiet doorway to a feeling, and once he steps through, he's not just reading a text, he's living inside the picture with you. Maybe it's a slow morning in a small cabin where no one's rushing anywhere. Maybe it's a long drive down an empty road, windows open, no schedule, just music and comfort. Maybe it's rain tapping on the window while your feet rest against his on the couch. Nothing to prove, nothing to perform, just soft connection. This isn't seduction, it's gentle anchoring, because the moment he imagines it clearly, without even realizing it, he puts you in that scene. And soon, he's not just imagining peace, he's imagining you as the source of that peace. And that, my dear, is everything. Men don't always chase what feels thrilling, but they hold tight to what feels like home. This message doesn't demand decisions, it plants a possibility, and possibilities are where emotion begins to grow roots. And Matthew once said, "Dreams without goals are just dreams, but dreams filled with emotion, those are the ones that change everything." Give him emotion. Give him something soft, something warm, something realer than any picture could ever be. Because when you live quietly inside a man's imagination, you're not just liked, you're longed for. And now we're going deeper. Not into fantasy, but into the hidden part of him most women never reach. The part that wants to be noticed for who he is, not what he does. Stay close to me now. Number 4, the unseen compliment. Quick example. You know what I notice about you? You actually listen, like really listen. Now let's be real with each other. Most men go through life being acknowledged for the same 3 things: what they achieve, what they own, and how they appear while doing it. Compliments come fast and easy. You're so strong, you're so handsome, you're so impressive. Nice words, sure, but common. And what's common fades quickly. The truth is, most people admire the flowers, but the woman who stands out admires the roots. And that's exactly what you're doing when you send something like, "You know what I notice about you? You really listen, like actually listen. It's soft, it's quiet, but it's sharp in the right way, because no one, almost no one, tells a man that. You're not complimenting his strength, you're appreciating his presence. You're not praising how he looks, you're seeing his awareness. And men remember that. Why? Because their inner world is rarely noticed by anyone. They get recognition when they succeed, but silence when they show up consistently. They're expected to need nothing, to reveal nothing, to carry everything. So when a woman cuts through that noise and notices something small but meaningful, like his ability to listen with full attention, she doesn't just capture his interest. She earns a place in his emotional memory. That's what I call precise praise. It's not generic, it's purposeful. You're not saying, "You're amazing." You're saying, "This tiny part of who you are, the part almost everyone overlooks, I see it, and it matters." That kind of attention is the new version of attraction. Forget filters. Forget corny lines. What truly draws a man in is presence, and presence is what men seek once they're tired of games. Matthew never had to shout to own a room. He walked in with truth. Hold that same energy in your words. Calm, real, steady, and he won't forget you, because a man forgets the women who told him he looked good, but he never forgets the one who noticed the thing he didn't even think anyone cared about. Now we move to something deeper. Not what he hides, what he hopes for, even when he never says it out loud. Number 5, the anchor in his chaos. Here is a message you probably never even considered. No pressure, no explanation needed. Just wanted to remind you that you don't have to be strong for me. Take a breath here, because this one is different. This one doesn't come from passion. It comes from calm, from safety, from a kind of love that doesn't shout for attention, but stands steady like a lighthouse when the water gets rough. Here's the part nobody talks about. He's used to being the strong one. He's the one people rely on. His family leans on him. His friends depend on him. His job expects him to hold himself together no matter what. Even on his slow days, he's carrying quiet weights that never fully leave his mind. He's the man who feels like he can't fall apart because everyone else assumes he'll always stay solid. But then your message arrives. Quiet, grounded, honest, no pressure, no answers needed. Just wanted to remind you, you don't have to be strong for me, and that's not a simple text. That's a lifeline. You're offering him something he rarely receives, a place with no expectations, a moment without performance, a chance to stop holding his breath. What you're really saying is, I see the man behind the mask. He might be having a day where he pulls away, talks less, seems distant, not because he doesn't care, but because he is drained from trying to hold everything together. And then he sees your message, not demanding anything, not judging his silence, simply giving him a place to land. And that, my friend, is intimacy in its purest form, not the kind you create with candles or chemistry, but the kind you create by giving someone a sense of safety. And let me tell you something many people never really understand. Men don't fall deeply in love with the most perfect or most beautiful woman. They fall in love with the woman who makes them feel like they can finally breathe out after holding their breath for too long. Matthew once said that if you pray for rain, you have to be ready to deal with the mud as well. Love isn't only the bright, easy, pretty moments. Real love is also showing up for the complicated parts without trying to sweep them away fast or pretend they don't exist. So be the one place where he feels he can rest, not just recharge like a battery. Be the steady voice that doesn't pressure him, but gently grounds him. Because when a man discovers real peace in your presence, he will protect that peace with everything he has. Be that soft space he never realized he needed, but soon understands he never wants to lose. And now we move from comfort to time, because time itself can be a trigger. The right memory, revisited at the right moment, can make him feel you all over again in a way he didn't expect. Stay close. Number 6, the echo of a memory of. Here's the kind of message that softly echoes in his mind long after he reads it. A random moment just popped in my head. That time you laughed at the silliest joke, and I caught myself smiling again without even realizing it. A message like that doesn't just sit in his inbox. It gently pulls him back to that small second of joy, to that laugh, that spark of fun, that version of you who stood beside him when everything felt easy and uncomplicated, even if that moment was tiny. And here's the surprising part. You don't need a long history. You don't need years of memories stacked up. One tiny shared spark, one solid conversation, one unexpected joke, one look that lasted only a second, and you can anchor it in his mind for a long time. Because when you remind a man about how he felt with you, he doesn't just remember the situation, he remembers the woman who created that feeling. It becomes emotional gravity, a soft tug somewhere in his chest whispering, hey, remember this. That feeling wasn't an accident, it meant something, and this becomes even more powerful when he isn't expecting it. In the middle of a busy morning, while he he's rushing to get things done, your message becomes almost like a small time machine. Suddenly, he's not in his car or sitting at his desk. He's right back there with you, laughing at something silly, wondering how such a simple moment managed to find its way back into his day. That's not just cute, that is connection. Bring him back to a good moment and he'll want to create the next one with you. And now we shift from what once happened to the things that are not spoken out loud, but are always felt. The message that whispers permission instead of placing pressure. Stay with me. Number 7, the soft power move. Let's begin with this truth. Most people fall for the mask before they ever fall for the person. They are drawn to the smile, to the charm, to the confidence, to the strong outer layers. But real connection, that begins when someone quietly says, "You can put it down now, I see the real you and I'm not walking away." My friends, this is where true power meets true peace. Men, especially the ones who are worth holding on to, spend so much of their lives performing. They perform at work, they perform in relationships, they perform for society. They try to be strong, controlled, unshaken, always in charge, but no one tells them they don't have to be impressive every second just to be worthy. That is what this message gives him. You are basically saying, without drama, you don't have to impress me. You just have to be honest and real with me. It's not a pass for carelessness. It's an invitation to be human again. Many people are attracted to potential, to what someone could become someday, to what they might achieve in the future. But the deepest form of attraction is to peace. And peace doesn't come from performance. Peace grows from presence, from comfort, from being accepted without having to fight for it. When a man understands he doesn't need to constantly prove himself just to be allowed in your space, when he feels that being himself is more than enough, his soul quietly exhales. And trust me, he will always return to that kind of space, every single time, because women who feel like a gentle pause, not another battle zone, are rare, and rare things become precious. There's a quiet strength inside this message. You're not begging for his time. You're not cheering for his performance like an audience. You're saying something much deeper. You being real is more attractive to me than anything you could pretend to be. And here's what that does. It builds emotional freedom inside him. It tells him he's not being judged or graded. He's being received completely and softly. Because the truth is, men don't always want to be the man. Sometimes they just want to be seen without needing to earn the right to be seen. So don't try to impress him. Don't ask him to impress you. Just give him the space to exist as himself. That is the woman he chooses every time. And now we close this out with something timeless, something simple but incredibly powerful. Sometimes all it takes is one small truth, one quiet reminder to turn uncertainty into devotion. Stay here. Number 8, the unexpected reminder. There's a saying that a man will replay the moment he felt he mattered long after the words fade away. Words are like small stones dropped into a moving river. You drop them once, but the ripples continue far longer than you think. What you believed was a quick moment might be something he carries with him, not because it was loud or grand, but because it made him feel seen in a world that often treats him like he's just another background character in his own story. That's what this message is, a soft ripple, a quiet nudge to his memory that says, hey, you said something that mattered to me and I didn't forget. A simple message like, by the way, I still think about that one thing you said last week. It stayed with me more than you realize. That's it. Short, gentle, but extremely powerful. Because in that small sentence, you're telling him 3 major things. First, I truly listened. Second, what you said was not just noise to me. It held meaning. Third, you made an imprint on me, and that matters. And this isn't flattery. You're not feeding his ego. You're feeding something deeper. His essence, his inner self. You're not saying, you're amazing, you're saying, you impacted me. And men crave that kind of recognition far more than endless attention, because recognition is earned, and what's earned stays. Think about it. Everyone wants to be heard, but very few people genuinely listen. This message proves you are one of the rare ones, the kind of woman who isn't trying so hard to be interesting, but is genuinely interested in him. And that, my friend, is emotional gold. You don't have to repeat his words exactly. Maybe it was a story he shared, a quiet truth he revealed without planning, or even a small joke that exposed more than he realized. What matters is that you noticed, and now he notices that you noticed. Matthew once said, "It's not the big speeches that define us, it's the quiet choices." And this is one of those quiet choices, the kind that builds something he won't want to let go of. So be the woman who remembers the small things, and he will never forget you. And there it is. 8 simple messages filled with soul, depth, and a kind of power that doesn't need to shout. These messages aren't ordinary texts. They're emotional anchors, gentle reminders, impressions that stay with him long after he reads them. Remember, real connection doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from speaking with intention, with clarity, with quiet truth. So if this touched your heart, don't keep it only to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more content that reaches deeper than surface-level advice. Share it with another woman who is ready to be felt, not just seen. And until next time, stay soft, stay grounded, and stay unforgettable.